Hare Krishna. Can you hear my voice? Am I audible? Is my voice audible? Okay, let's start. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for joining today's session. We have been discussing from the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The chapter is titled as Vijnana Yoga, or knowledge of the absolute. I'll do a quick recap of what we have seen till now in this chapter. Actually, in the first 6 chapters, Krishna discusses about Gunibhuta Bhakti, or practices where Bhakti is secondary. There is no exclusive karma, exclusive jnana, exclusive yoga, because such practices will not give any result, and Krishna would never recommend processes which are fruitless processes. So therefore, in the proper Vedic recommended systems, not allowed systems, in the Vedic recommended systems, there is always worship of Vishnu in some form or other, at least as a secondary process, at least as a secondary practice. So therefore, in the first 6 chapters, Krishna speaks about Gunibhuta Bhakti, where Bhakti is secondary but Karma Jnana Yoga are primary. Okay. So in the 6th chapter, Krishna ended by establishing that of all the practices between Karma, Jnana and Yoga, he says yoga is better. Tapasvibhyodiko yogi jnanibhyopi matodikaha karmibhyachadiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. So Krishna says, between the processes that I have discussed till now, my dear Arjuna, Ashtanga Yoga is better than Karma, Jnana or Tapasya, all these things. So he says, between the processes in which have Bhakti as a secondary element, Ashtanga Yoga is better. But actually, Bhakti as a process is superior to all these other paths. Yoginam api sarvesham madgate nandaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamomata. In the last verse of the 6th chapter, just before entering into the Shana and Bhakti, Krishna introduces Bhakti in a very beautiful way through this verse. He mentions that how Bhakti is superior to even Ashtanga Yoga. Then this 7th chapter, he starts by describing what this practice of Bhakti is. Maya tamana partha yogam yunjan madashrayah asamshayam samagram mam yatagnyasasi tachruno. He says, this practice of Bhakti is the practice in which the mind is attached to Krishna. Maya asaktamana. So the mind is attached to Krishna means Krishna is the goal. Krishna is not the means to attain some other goal, but Krishna is the goal of the practice. So therefore, Maya Saktamana means Anya Bilashita Shunyam. And Yogam Yunjan, establishing a relationship with me. Establishing a relationship with me means, this defines actually what does it mean to fix the mind on Krishna. What does it mean when Krishna says with the mind attached to me? Mind attached to me means what? Attached to Krishna for having a relationship with Krishna in one of the 5 rasas. And surrendered to me, Mada Ashraya, surrendered only to Krishna. So surrendered to Krishna means surrendered not to any other demigods and others, and surrendered to Krishna only through the process of Bhakti. So Mad Ashraya refers to Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. There is no other process but the process of pure devotional service. Okay. And by this process, he says that you will know me in my complete form. Otherwise, by these other processes, one may realize the Brahman or Paramatma, but by this process of pure devotional service, one can understand Krishna in his Bhagavan feature. Okay. Then in the next verse, Krishna says, Jnanam teham sa vijnanam idam vakshyami asheshatah yad gyatva neha bhuyonyad jnatavyam avashishyate. I will explain to you both jnana, which means knowledge of my powers, and vijnana, which means knowledge of my sweetness, and understanding this, nothing else remains to be known. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatadam api siddhanam kaschin mam vetti tatvatah. But to gain qualification to understand Krishna is very, very rare. So that's what he says here. Manushyanam sahasreshu, amongst thousands of men, some may attain success in their endeavors, and amongst those who attain success, hardly anyone knows me, because the path of bhakti is rare. It's very rare that someone accepts the path of pure devotional service. So that's what he says. So then, talking about knowing about Krishna means knowing about Krishna's energies first. Bhumirapo analo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti emme bidnati rashtada. He talks about Krishna's material energy, which is composed of the gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle elements. Okay. And another of Krishna's energy is the Jiva Shakti. Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim viddhime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam daryate jagat. So the inferior energy is the material energy, but amongst the two, the superior energy is the Jiva Shakti. And this Jiva Shakti is superior because it employs the inferior energy for its own enjoyment. Yaya idam dharyate jagat. Who employ the inferior energy their own enjoyment. Okay. Etad yonini bhutani sarvani tyupadaraya aham kritsnasya jagatah prabhava pralayastata. Understand, my dear Arjuna, that whatever you see in this world, they have their source in either or both of these energies. You see a person, his soul, the source of his soul is the Jiva Shakti, the source of his body is the Maya Shakti. So whatever you see in this universe, it has its source in either the Jiva Shakti or the Maya Shakti. But aham kritsnasya jagatah prabhava pralayastata. But I am the origin and dissolution of this whole universe. Okay, I am the cause of this whole universe because these two, the Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti, are Krishna's energies. So if the energetic claims what belongs to the energy, if the energy is the cause, then the energetic can say, I am the cause, there's nothing wrong. So if I say that my power of lifting this bottle lifted this bottle, okay, it is the same as telling I lifted this bottle, okay, because the power of lifting is my energy only. So if my power of lifting lifted this bottle, it means I lifted the bottle because the power of lifting is my power of lifting only. So that's what he says that. So first, to know about the powers of Krishna, you should know about powers of Krishna in this material world. In this material world, whatever you see is a byproduct of Krishna's Jiva Shakti or Maya Shakti, and Jiva Shakti and Maya Shakti are Krishna's Shakti only. Okay. And he says, Aham Krishnasya Jagatah Prabhava Pralayasta. I am the creator of this universe and I am the destroyer of this universe also. And then he says, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mai Sarvamidam Protam Sutre Manigana Eva. There is nothing superior to me. Everything is pervaded by me as pearls are strung on a thread. And as a Paramatma, he is also the maintainer. Just like the thread, even though it is invisible, but a thread is what holds the pearls together in the form of a necklace. But the pearl is not visible. But the thread is not visible, but it is the thread which is holding the pearls together in the form of a necklace. So similarly, Paramatma is not visible, but it is the Paramatma who is maintaining this whole universe by allowing the animate and inanimate objects to maintain their dharma, like that. Then he knew that how Krishna is the source of everything and he is the essence of everything. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sasishoryayoho pranavah sarva vedeshu shabdakke paurusham rishu. So in this way he talks about how Krishna is either the source of everything or he is the essence of everything. We saw this series of verses. Okay. And then Punyogandha Prativyamsha Tejas Chasmi Vibhavaso Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu Tapasmi Tapasvishu. While I am reading the verse, you can all read the translation because these are like straightforward verses. We have discussed them many times. Then Krishna continues, Bijammam Sarva Bhutanam Viddipartha Sanatanam Buddhir Buddhamasmi Tejas Tejas Vinamaham. I'm intelligent, which means he's the essence of everything. Tejas Tejas Vinamaham, and the majesty of the majestic, again meaning he is the essence of everything and he's the source of everything, like that. Balam Balavatam Chaham Kamaraga Vivarjitam Dharma Viruddho Bhuteshu Kamosmi Bhartarshaba. I am the strength of the strong, I am which is lust and anger, and I am that lust which is according to dharma. Then actually Krishna could continue speaking about this, giving example after example after example, but then he tries to summarize it by telling, Echaiva Shatvika Bhava Rajasas Tamasas Chaye Matta Eveti Tam Niddhi Natvaham Teshu Temai. Understand, O Arjuna, that anything in this world that you see, either that is Sattva Guna, Rajya Guna, or Tamo Guna, understand that everything comes from me. I am not in them, but they are, which means I am not dependent on them, but they all are dependent on me. So which means practically anything that you see in this world, whether it is an object or a quality or anything which is a byproduct of the three modes, understand that it is coming from me. Okay, like that. And then he says, Tribir Gunamayer Bhaver Ebis Sarvamidam Jagat Mohitam Nabijanati Mamebhya Paramavyayam. And he says that this whole world, bewildered by the objects and persons made of the three gunas, does not know me. So it is the three gunas, Maya Shakti made of the three gunas, which covers a person, which hides a person's vision seeing Krishna. Okay. And then in this context, we discuss very elaborately. We try to understand the three modes and how they influence, what do they influence, and how do we understand their influence. We discussed this in great detail. I'll not go into this, but we saw that how the three modes affect the Shastric faith. So pure Shastric faith is pure devotional faith. But when that pure Shastric faith is mixed with Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, it leads to mixed devotional faith and mixed devotional practices and mixed devotional goals. Okay. And the three modes also affect our nature or our swabhava, which leads to particular qualities like cleanliness, regularity, clarity, in terms of goodness, greed, lust, such qualities for mode of passion, lethargy, sleep, in terms of mode of ignorance. So these various kinds of anarthas are byproducts of the three modes affecting the swabhava of a person. And the three modes can also affect the non-shastric faith, the sentimental faith, which leads to attraction to worship of particular personalities like demigods or yakshas and rakshasas, pretas, bhutaganas, like that. So that is the three modes affecting the non-shastric. So we saw in this context that how a sadhaka or a practitioner devotee is one who has pure unalloyed shastric faith, which is not covered by the three modes, but on top of that he has a swabhava which is contaminated by the three modes. Like that. That is the position of a jiva, of a sadhaka. But practice of bhakti sincerely, there will be purification of the swabhava also. We saw this in detail. Okay. So here he says that actually it is the three modes which the covering of the three modes which due to which one cannot understand Krishna. Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante maya metam taranti. He says, Esha mama gunamayi maya. So this maya, which is made of the three modes, which is fit for jiva's pleasure, is very hard to surpass. Okay. But those who surrender to me alone can cross over this maya. So in this context, we discussed that how maya is not an evil force. Okay. There is no evil force against the jiva in this material world. Okay. There is no external evil force against the jiva. Maya is not against the jiva. Actually, we saw elaborately a few weeks back that how Maya Devi, the Vaishnava, Krishna, and Shastras, they all have the same mission of sending the jiva back to the spiritual world. But Maya will ensure that the jiva gets sufficient tests so that the jiva, without getting sufficiently purified and ready to go to the spiritual world, does not prematurely land up in the spiritual world. Okay. So the Vaishnava's role is to create inspiration in the jiva to go back to the spiritual world. The Vaishnava's role. Okay. And when the Vaishnava gives that inspiration, then the Shastras in the form of Bhakti Shastras, they will guide the jiva to move in that direction. Okay. What you should do, what you should not do, the Shastras will guide. And Maya Devi, what it will do, Maya Devi will ensure to give you tests so that you can test every time how ready you are to choose Krishna over matter. So that situation is created by Maya. So Maya will give you a test. If you pass that test, Maya will give you a bigger test just to see how ready are you to choose Krishna in this situation. How ready are you to choose Krishna in this situation? What about this? Okay, I've given you three very difficult situations, sad situations. How about a happy situation? I'll give you some success now. What do you choose, Krishna or matter? And when Mayadevi is sufficiently satisfied that yes, you are ready now to go, she will happily release you. And that comes through surrender to Krishna. So therefore, the Vaishnavas, the Shastras, Maya Devi, and Krishna, they are in the same mission to inspire the jiva to come back to Krishna. Okay. So the reason why I'm telling this is we need not feel, oh, this Maya will be scheming to pull me down. I have to be very careful. I have to be paranoid. There is no need to be. There is no need to be paranoid. Maya is just like an examiner. Actually, she wants she actually is hoping that we will pass the test and go back, because she is Krishna's energy. How can she evilly? How can she have a desire which is against Krishna's desire? It is not possible. So, Mame prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So whoever surrenders to Krishna can overcome Maya. Then the question, oh, then every intelligent person will surrender to Krishna then, because everyone wants to over Maya, so everyone will surrender to Krishna. Isn't that true? So he says no. Krishna says, Namam dushkritino moodaha prapadyante naradama maya apharita jnana asuram bhavamashritaha. So he says that there are 4 types of people who are falsely intelligent. Who are falsely intelligent means their faith is not based on the Shastras. So they are intelligent, but their intelligence is not guided by Shastras. Okay. So these falsely intelligent people do not surrender to Krishna because they don't have a faith which is guided by the Shastras. And there are 4 types of falsely intelligent people: Muda, Naradama, Maya Apartana, and Asuram Bhavamashita. So Mudas are those who are engrossed in material. They just want to enjoy matter. Animalistic people. Okay. And the second type of people are Naradamas, who after practicing bhakti for a while, due to committing offenses, they give up the practice of bhakti. So they are Naradamas who are concerned. Naradamas means the worst amongst the human beings. Okay. And the third category are Mayaya Apahagyana, who are deluded theists. They worship the Lord, but they have false knowledge about the Lord, which is not guided by Shastras. And the fourth type of people are Asuram Bhavam Ashritaha, who are demons who attack Krishna's form. So these 4 kind of people, Dushkritinaha, which means they do not have an intelligence which is guided by the Shastras. Such people do not surrender to Krishna. Okay. So Dushta means evil or spoiled, and Kritinaha means clever. So those who have evil intelligence or spoiled intelligence, or intelligence which is not guided by the Shastras, they are called as Dushkritinaha. Okay. They are not evil people, but they are misguided people. They lack the Sukriti to accept the Shastras. Like that. So then he says, then who surrenders to Krishna then? Who surrenders to Krishna? So the Sukritinas, those who have Sukritis, they surrender to Krishna. Chaturvida bhajante mam. 4 kinds of people worship me by surrendering to me. And who are they? Sukritinas. They have Sukriti. Okay. So, and in that also there are 4 kinds of people: Artaha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Jnani. The Artha is one who seeks some relief from him. So when they are suffering, so they take Shri Krishna to seek some relief from suffering. And Artharthi are those who want some wealth, and for that they take shelter of Krishna. And Jigyasu are the inquirers, who want some okay, who have some clarification, who seek some clarification from Krishna. And the Jnanis. So here Krishna explains who are they. Then who worships you? 4 types of people worship. Okay. So the Sukritinaha means those who follow the rules of Varnashrama, they worship me. So those who follow the rules of Varnashrama means those of the Shastras. Okay. So which also means those who do not worship Krishna, they are not actual followers of Varnashrama. So which means there are no Shaivite Brahmanas, Shaivite Kshatriyas who do not worship Vishnu. In the strictest sense, there is no Shaivite Brahmana. Of course, you are not. Please don't go and tell others, to tell the demigod worshippers that you are not a Brahmana because you don't worship Vishnu. But in the strictest sense, any follower of Varnashrama can be accepted as a true follower of Varnashrama only if he is a worshipper of Vishnu. Okay. So he says, so amongst them, some desire relief from affliction, from calamities like sickness. Some desire knowledge of Atma, or desire knowledge of scriptures with grammar. And some desire enjoyment in life, and next with land, elephants, horses, women, gold, or such things. So this is Artho, Artharthi, Jigyasu. So these persons worship me. So these 3 are Sakama Grahasthas. They have material desires, so they practice Sakama Karma Mishra Bhakti. Okay. But the fourth type is a Jnani, who is a sannyasi, with pure heart, who worships me with devotion. So he is a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Okay. Like that. So these four types of devotees qualified for Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. So Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti means predominant Bhakti. So they predominantly are attached to Bhakti, and secondarily they are also attached to Karma or Jnana. Okay. So the first three types of persons have Karma Mishra Bhakti. Artho, Artharthi and Jigyasu are Karma Mishra Bhaktas. And the fourth type is a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. So one who is called Jnani is a Jnana Mishra Bhakta actually. Later in the 8th chapter of this book, Yoga Mishra Bhakti will also be described in the next chapter. Okay. But Kevala Bhakti or unmixed Bhakti, unmixed with Karma or Jnana, was also described in the beginning of the chapter with 7.1. Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashri. I explained that how each of those phrases indicated Anya Bilashita Shunyam, Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam, Anukulyana Krishnanushilanam. So that is pure Bhakti. So Kevala Bhakti will also be described in the 8th chapter, Ananya Cheta Hatam Yomam Smarati Nityashaha, in that verse. 9th chapter, Mahatmanas Tumam Partha, Ananya Chintayanto Mam, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam. These are verses which describe pure devotional service. Okay. So the Lord describes these two types of bhakti, that is Pradhani Bhuta and Kevala Bhakti, in the middle 6 chapters, which means predominant bhakti and pure bhakti is the subject matter of the middle 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So then a third type of bhakti, that is Guni Bhuta Bhakti, in which bhakti is a secondary element, is seen in karmis, jnanis and yogis, which was described in the first 6 chapters. Okay. And then we saw, but that is called as Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, and not Karma Mishra Bhakti, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Yoga Bhakti, because in that bhakti is secondary. In Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, bhakti is secondary, therefore it is called as yoga and not bhakti. Okay. Like that. And then we saw the results of Gunibhuta Bhakti. Okay. The results of Gunibhuta Bhakti and Pradhanibhuta Bhakti, we saw this, right? The results of Sakama Karma. Okay. Okay, let me check. Actually, I had, give me just 1 minute. I will search for this. I had this chart. So the chart will make it much more easier for you to understand. So I will search for that chart. Just give me a second. So once I get that chart, then I can explain it to you much more easily. But for that, you have to just wait for a while. If I am successful, I may be able to find that chart. Let me check. Oh. I'm not able to find it. Just give me a second. Okay, I don't. I'm not able to find it. Okay, but anyways, but it was a nice chart. But somehow I am not able to find it. Just give me a second. Let me just search for it somewhere. I had shared it somewhere. but I am not able to exactly recollect where I shared it. Can someone help me with that? Do you remember in which course we shared that chart? I'm just trying to recollect. Uh, I had shared that chart somewhere, but I am not able to find it. Was it? Oh, maybe let me check here. Oh, I think Mataji has shared the chart. Okay, great. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Okay, I will try to get a proper one, but for now I will just use it. Just give me a second. I think you can share it in your in the you can share it in this chat box also, but not needed. I think I will take it from here. Yeah, this is little. Hmm, hmm. Okay, let me share the screen. This will become a little bit more clearer. Okay, so here if you see, I cannot, of course, maybe I cannot write on this. Can I? No, it will not allow me to write on this. Okay, anyways, so you can see this is Sakama Karma Yoga. Okay, so Sakama Karma Yoga, when it achieves perfection, then it leads to Swarga, which is not exactly mentioned here. Okay, but when Sakama Karma Yoga matures, it leads to Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay, and Nishkama Karma Yoga has the karma element and the bhakti element. So now I am explaining the top. But this should allow me to write here. Why is it not allowing me to write? Can't I write on this? Okay. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. I will just do something. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Just give me 1 second. I will just do something. Just give me 1 second. If only I would write on it, it will be great. But I'm not able to write. Okay, got it. Okay, let me now share. Okay, now can you clearly see it on this thing? Of course, it may be a little bit blurry, but I'll try to get the proper one name. But I think, is this manageable? Can you see on the screen? Okay, thank you. So this is Sakama Karma Yoga. Everything starts with Sakama Karma Yoga, in which karma is predominant, bhakti is secondary, but there are material results. If Sakama Karma Yoga matures, it leads to what is called as Swarga. Okay. So, but Sakama Karma Yoga matures into what is called as Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay. So Nishkama Karma Yoga has two elements, the karma element and the bhakti element. But of the two, if the karma element matures, okay, then it leads to Jnana Yoga. Okay. Then it leads to Jnana Yoga. Okay. And Jnana Yoga is where, and what is Nishkama Karma Yoga? Nishkama Karma Yoga is where liberation is the goal, but anarthas are also present, just like sadhakas. We have prema as the goal, but we do have anarthas in the form of lust, anger, envy, greed, etc. And Sakama Karma Yogi is one who has material goal and material anarthas or vasanas. So if he pursues that, he will attain Swarga. But this may mature into Nishkama Karma Yoga also. And Nishkama Karma Yoga has karma and bhakti. If the karma part matures, it leads to Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga has Jnana and Bhakti. Bhakti is the secondary element and Jnana is the primary element. If the Jnana part of that Jnana Yoga matures, it leads to Sayujya Mukti or liberation. Okay. This is one path. Okay. So now let's say, this is one path which leads to liberation. Number one, Sayujya Mukti. Now let's say Sakama Karma becomes Nishkama Karma. Nishkama Karma has karma and bhakti. And let the karma only mature into Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga has Jnana and Bhakti. But instead of Jnana portion maturing, if the Bhakti portion matures, it becomes the same Jnana Yoga becomes Jnana Mishra Bhakti. And Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti is primary and Jnana is secondary. Okay. And in this Jnana Mishra Bhakti, if the Jnana part matures, then it leads to Shantarati. So they go to Vaikunta, and in Vaikunta they attain Shantarati. Which is a very, very, very rudimentary stage of prema. Very rudimentary stage of prema, which is Shantarati on the level of bhava. But instead of Jnana element maturing, if the Bhakti element of Jnana Mishra Bhakti matures, then it becomes Shuddha Bhakti. Okay. And when Shuddha Bhakti matures, it leads to prema. Okay. It leads to prema. Okay. So now, this is the second path where Nishkama Karma becomes Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga becomes Jnana Mishra Bhakti. And Jnana Mishra Bhakti matures into Shantarati. Or Sakama Karma becomes Nishkama Karma. Sakama Karma becomes Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga becomes Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Jnana Mishra Bhakti matures into Shuddha Bhakti, and Shuddha Bhakti gives prema. So this is the third. This is the third. And or Nishkama Karma Yoga has karma and bhakti, karma as primary and bhakti as secondary. So if instead of the karma part maturing, sometimes the bhakti part may mature. So in that case, Karma Yoga will become Karma Mishra Bhakti. Karma Mishra Bhakti also has bhakti as the primary and karma as the secondary element. Okay. So if Karma Mishra Bhakti, if the karma element of, if Karma Mishra Bhakti, if the karma element matures and achieves perfection, then it leads to Salokya Mukti. This is the fourth. Salokya Mukti, which means they go to Vaikunta, but in Vaikunta, they don't experience a direct relationship with Krishna. Okay. So this is called as Salokya Mukti they attain. Or so if Karma Mishra Bhakti only matures, or if the karma part matures into Jnana, then it will lead to Jnana Mishra Bhakti. Okay. And Jnana Mishra Bhakti has Bhakti and Jnana. If the Bhakti matures, it becomes Shuddha Bhakti, and Shuddha Bhakti leads to Prema. or if the Jnana part matures, then it leads to Shantarati, which we have already seen. Okay. But instead of, in this Karma Mishra Bhakti, instead of Karma part maturing, if the Bhakti part matures, then Karma Mishra Bhakti will directly become Shuddha Bhakti, and Shuddha Bhakti will lead to Prema. Like that, there are multiple things which are possible. So here, this is where he is describing this results of Gunibhuta Bhakti. The result of Sakama Karma is Swarga. You see here, this we have already mentioned it here. The result of Sakama Karma is Swarga. Okay. The result of Nishkama Karma is Jnana Yoga. You see here, this also we have shown. The results of Nishkama Karma, if the Karma part matures, it leads to Jnana Yoga. You see here, this is what we have, this is what it says. Okay. The result of Nishkama Karma is Jnana Yoga, and the result of Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga is Nirvana Moksha, impersonal liberation. This also we have shown. Jnana Yoga, if the Jnana part mixes, it leads to Sayujya Mukti. This also we have shown. Okay. Yoga we have not specifically taken because Yoga and Jnana are similar. Okay. So this we have seen. The result of the two types of Pradhanibhuta Bhakti are described as follows. So Pradhanibhuta Bhakti is where Bhakti is predominant. So the two types of Pradhanibhuta Bhakti is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and so you see here Jnana Mishra Bhakti and Karma Mishra Bhakti. So these two are Pradhanibhuta Bhakti, where Bhakti is predominant. What is the result of Jnana Mishra Bhakti and Karma Mishra Bhakti? We are going to see that. So he says, okay, just give me a second. Yeah. Among the types of Pradhanibhuta Bhakti, the first three are Karma Mishra Bhakti or Sakama Bhakti. So Artha, Jigyasu, and Artharthi, these three are Karma Mishra Bhaktas. Okay. The result of this Bhakti, the result of Karma Mishra Bhakti is attainment of their respective desires, which means preliminary, as an immediate result, they will get either removal of suffering or attainment of scriptural knowledge or gaining some material benefits. They will get that. And after that, because of the superior nature of object of worship, which is Krishna, those devotees attain liberation in the form of Salokya with predominance of happiness and power. Sukhaishwaryottara Mukti or Salokya Mukti. You see here, this is what we saw here. So this Karma Mishra Bhaktas, when that attains perfection, they attain Salokya Mukti. Okay, like that. Okay. So, and there is no fall down as in the case of exhausting enjoyment in Swarga. Shine Punye Martyalokam Vishanti. So they will get some predominance of happiness and powers in Swarga also. But they attain Swarga based on their piety. But these personalities, those who practice predominant bhakti, they attain Vaikunta on the strength of their bhakti, so they don't fall down from there. Okay. So then he says the result of Jnana Mishra Bhakti, which is superior to the other three types, is Shantarati or Bhava, as in the case of the four Kumaras. You see here, this is what we saw. Jnana Mishra Bhakti leads to Shantarati. So this is what we discussed. Okay. So sometimes because of exceptional mercy of the Lord and his devotee, the result of Jnana Mishra Bhakti is the supreme position of Prema, as we see in the case of Shukadeva Goswami. You see here, if by the association of Vaishnavas, if Bhakti becomes predominant in Jnana Mishra Bhakti, then that Jnana Mishra Bhakti becomes Shuddha Bhakti and eventually it leads to Prema. This also we saw. Okay. If Sakama Bhakti, the first three types, becomes Nishkama without desires, then the result is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and the result of Jnana Mishra Bhakti is Shantarati. So this also we have seen. Okay. Karma Mishra Bhakti can either attain Salokya Mukti, but Karma Mishra Bhakti becomes Jnana Mishra Bhakti, then Jnana Mishra Bhakti leads to Shantarati. This is the path. This is the path that he says. Okay. So then he says, sometimes those who have Jnana Mishra Bhakti or Karma Mishra Bhakti attain prema in dasya and higher rasas on their own with no apparent association of devotees in this life because of influence of association with devotees in previous life. So sometimes it happen that these those um, in this life, some people in this life have been practicing Karma Mishra Bhakti or Jnana Mishra Bhakti, but suddenly after some time they automatically practice pure devotional service and attain prema. So this is because they were already practicing pure devotional service in their previous lives, but in this life they did not get proper uddipan to restart that pure devotional service, and at some point they got that uddipan, then they start pure devotional service and they continue from there. Okay, but that kind of prema is generally predominated by a mood of awe and reverence, Aishwarya. The result of pure bhakti unmixed with jnana and karma or yoga is called ananya bhakti, akinchana bhakti, or uttama bhakti, which has many types, and is that one because is that one becomes an associate of the Lord with dasya, sakya, and other rasas, which means one attains prema. So this is here Shuddha Bhakti. So the result of Shuddha Bhakti is prema in one of the rasas. Okay. This is explained elaborately in the commentaries on the Bhagavatam. As it is a matter related to the topic at hand, the distinctions in perfected bhakti have been briefly discussed. So there is a footnote by His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj. Even though the topic is sadhana, the result of sadhya, prema are also described here to illustrate the differences in the sadhanas. So this is something which I wanted to discuss. And this is where we ended our discussion last time. Of course, last Friday I had to cancel the session and I apologize for that. But before we continue this discussion further, if there are any quick discussion points, comments, questions, anything anyone would like to share as add, you can please go ahead. Either raise your hands or type your questions in the chat box, whatever you feel comfortable. Anything anyone would like to share as add? Okay, there is one question already in the chat box. Let's take that. That also means that Naradama are the most fallen category because they are offenders. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yes, Sachipran Prabhu.
Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, Prabhuji, please accept my humble request.
Dandat.
I think I have asked this question, or I don't know, I remember. Prabhuji, Sukdev Goswami is been narrated in some of the stories as, he's a parrot in the hand of Srimati Radharani. And the same Sukdev Goswami as a Gyani, and then he got the mercy of a devotee and he becomes pure devotee. So this phase, to understand that his eternal position as the pure devotee of the Lord, then again came back as an impersonalist, as a Gyani.
That is Gyani. His acting as an impersonalist is only for pastime purposes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else anyone would like to share? Ask. Okay, 2 more hands up. And one question in the chat box. Okay, let me take the chat box question first. How does one progress in yoga ladder, and how can we know that we are progressing on the yoga ladder? Well, the yoga ladder is for the gradual path. Those who are practicing Gunibhuta Bhakti. We are not part of the yoga ladder. We are practicing direct bhakti. We are practicing direct bhakti by the mercy of the devotees. So therefore, that does not fall. So we don't follow the yoga ladder. Yoga ladder is Sakama Karma Yoga, then Nishkama Karma Yoga, and then Nishkama Karma Yoga becomes by practice of Nishkama Karma Yoga, one's heart becomes purified, and then one practices Jnana Yoga, and by practice of Jnana Yoga, then one attains liberation. So that is the gradual yoga ladder. But we don't follow the yoga ladder. We have, by the association of devotees, we have received the seed of devotion. So we directly follow bhakti. We don't follow the gradual path of the yoga ladder. That we don't do that. So yeah. Okay. Keshav Priya Mataji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Prabhuji, we are explaining about Maya 7.14. When we are explaining that, Prabhuji, you said Maya is also helping us to go back home. All three are functioning on the same path. And while explaining that, Prabhuji, you said Maya is also giving us test and she sees whether we pass the test. But many times you have explained, Prabhuji, but once we take a pure devotional service, we don't, like we come under Krishna's, like anything happens to devotee, it is by Krishna and not by karma or anything else. How to understand this both, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I said it's not by karma, it is by Krishna. But
Yes.
Krishna can use the agency of Maya.
Yeah, Krishna can use Maya, but is the Maya independently she tests us, Prabhuji, or only she's used by Krishna?
Maya does not do anything independently for anyone. Maya does only under the instruction of Krishna. But here for devotees, it is direct instruction of Krishna. For non-devotees, it is by the system of Krishna in the form of karma.
But again, it is Krishna only, no, Prabhuji. Like he is only using Maya according to his will only she is acting.
Yeah. She does not act independently.
Yeah. And another doubt, Prabhuji, Maya metam tarantite. Like once who surrendered to want to surrender to Krishna, surrender to him, he will help us to come out of Maya. That means, Prabhuji, like by doing sadhana and doing all these procedures, is it like Krishna only will remove all our anathas and Krishna only help us, or is there any endeavor on our part also, Prabhuji, that we should also put?
The surrendering part is our endeavor only, no?
Yeah, Prabhuji, we are just doing sadhana. For example, we have so many anarthas now, Prabhuji. Like Jnana yogis means they are all following many, like they're following their own scripture book to come out of their anarthas. They like those people depend on their own endeavor, Prabhuji. But we do our sadhana, we just follow the words of Acharya. So my doubt is like, will Krishna himself will do, or we should also consciously put effort in every place, Prabhuji?
Well, to acquire a quality, to destroy the influence of the modes, it is done, Krishna only does it. But like for example, when it comes to action, like say, okay, to act humbly or not, that is a choice that we can choose. To develop humility as a quality, that is bestowed upon by Krishna only. When the influence of Rajogun, Tamogun, everything is subdued, then automatically we will develop the quality of humility. But at a particular situation, whether to my swabhava will tell, just scream at that person and shout at that person, whereas my pure devotional faith will tell, no, act humbly. If you act humbly, you will not cause offenses. So if I listen to my, so I can choose to act according to the guidance of my pure devotional faith and act humbly. So to act humbly is an endeavor, it is a choice. But to become humble and develop humility as a quality, that is bestowed by Krishna as a result of our sincere practice of bhakti.
And what for those people, Prabhuji, Jnana yogis, for how do they get Prabhuji? For us, it is by Krishna. For them, Prabhuji?
For them, it is by their practice of, for them also indirectly, it is by bhakti only, because they eliminate the secondary bhakti only helps them overcome the influence of the lower modes. But at the same time, they also practice certain kinds of austerities and all those things, they also practice.
So finally, even if Krishna gives us a quality, and finally I have the final call, I should only decide whether I should use it or not. So there only the conscious endeavor comes. Is it, Prabhuji?
Yeah, conscious endeavor is always there to make a choice between our Swabhava and Shraddha.
Ah, okay.
That's
Thank you,
that
Prabhuji.
endeavor is always there.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Shamlal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
So, Prabhuji, this concept of Naradhamas,
Mhm.
I mean, of course, I've heard this before also, but I never knew that Naradhamas are offenders. Now,
Mhm.
for the other categories, definitely association with devotee will, it will change the
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm.
But for somebody who's an offender,
Mhm. Prabhu, you muted yourself. Or
forgiveness from the Vaishnava.
can you repeat, Prabhu, because we lost you in between?
My question is, for the other three categories,
Mhm.
simply association of a devotee
Mhm.
can change the from from non-devotee can gradually progress and become devotee, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But for an offender, unless uh, the person begs forgiveness from the person
Yeah.
who's offended, the equation does not change.
Yeah. He has to give offensive mentality. Only then that is possible.
So how does that happen? Through the
That also
because
happens. See, he became an offender because of some unfavorable experience with devotees or with a particular devotee. But if he has some favorable experience, if he comes in touch with some very affectionate devotees, and he starts liking them and he starts appreciating them, then he will give up his offensive nature.
okay, so now my question is, we has offended a devotee, that devotee has to forgive him, no? That's how
That is
I've, at least in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and we
true.
see here so many
Yeah,
pastimes of
yeah. That is for further progress. That is for future progress in bhakti. But to take up to bhakti, it depends on,
okay.
it depends on if it is just a
Any devotee can bring that person back to
bhakti. Yeah,
uh, bhakti.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Hariva.
Krishna. There is another question in the chat box. So he said that till we reach Nishtra stage, we are not under the control of Krishna. I don't know if I don't know if that is the case. Yes, Sachivarantu.
So, Dandatana Prabhuji, please accept my apologies. Prabhuji, in return to question to Keshapriya Mataji, he
Sure.
asked the same similar question. I know which class he has asked. The same
Mhm.
question which we are under of Yogamaya or Mahamaya. I think we were discussing about Vishnu Chakra Thakur's commentary on the energy part. That time we have read the commentary that till the stage of Nishtha,
No, 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 no.
we come, the Jiva comes under the
No, no.
Mahamaya.
I don't think I said Nishta. Till the Jiva becomes qualified to become a participant in Krishna's Leela, or till he reaches the stage of Prema, he is still under the influence of Mahamaya only. So only when he reaches the stage of Prema, then he comes under the realm of Yogamaya.
So, Prabhuji, I can just check with that commentary. I can say, because I strongly remember that there was a question by Keshapriya Mataji. I don't know if she remembers or not. Then we were reading the purport of Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, and it was actually little
No,
confused.
I don't ever remember.
Ruchi, I don't know
Because
Ruchi or I don't know which stage, but not exactly the Prema. I don't know. I will just go through it and I will let you know.
Yeah, you can go through it and let me know. But till a person reaches the stage of, till the devotee reaches the stage of prema, he is under the influence of
Mahamaya.
Mahamaya only.
Hmm.
But under the influence of Mahamaya does not mean Krishna does not control. So even those who are perfected devotees who are very much under Krishna, Krishna orchestrates their events through Yogamaya. No? So Yogamaya is also an energy only. So just because there is the intervention of an energy does not mean Krishna's desire is not there. So Yogamaya acts according to the desire of Krishna. And for devotees, sadhaka devotees also, Mahamaya acts, orchestrates events according to the desire of Krishna.
So I was asking about the modes. Na? The modes are acting on the person, and that modes which are controlling. That time there was discussion.
At the stage of, it's not that at the stage of Nishtha, there are no modes. Modes are very much there in Nishtha stage also. Modes are there till one reaches Prema. Just that the influence of the modes may be very subdued, especially the influence of Rajogun and Tamogun are subdued at the stage of Nishtha. But it's not that it is completely gone. So Anartha Nivritti is not Atyantiki Anartha Nivritti at the stage of Nishtha. It is only Prayiki Anarthaki, almost.
Right.
Still there is Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun is there at Nishtha. Only at the stage of Prema it is completely gone. So only at that stage, when one reaches the stage of Prema, then Yogamaya takes over. So till then, the situations of of a devotee are orchestrated by Mahamaya only. This we had a long discussion with His Holiness Bhanuswami Maharaj, and he clarified these things.
Okay.
Anything else before we move forward? Okay. So if there are no further discussion points, then we will continue. So Krishna says that talking about Maya, that Mamevaya prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. Whoever takes shelter of me, they can cross over the influence of Maya. But then do everyone surrender to Maya? No. Namam dushkrutino muda prapadyante naradama Maya apahrita jnana asuram bhavamashi. Those who have intelligence, but that intelligence which is not guided by the Shastras, they do not surrender to Krishna. On the other hand, people who accept Shastras, who accept the path given by the Shastras and worship Krishna, they surrender to Krishna. And there are 4 categories of people: Artho, Jigyasur, Artharthi, and Jnani, of which the first 3 are Karma Mishra Bhaktas, and the 4th one is a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Okay, like that. Who is called as Jnani is actually Jnana Mishra Bhakta. Then Krishna continues. He says that Tesham Jnani Nityayukta Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate Priyo Hi Jnaninotyartam Aham Sachamama Priyah. So he says, Tesham, of these 4 kinds of people who surrender to Krishna, Jnani, the 4th one, Nityayukta, who is constantly engaged in thinking of me, Eka Bhaktir, who is practicing bhakti alone, Vishishyate, he is the best. Priyohi Jnanino Atyartam, I am cherished by that Jnani. Aham Sachamama Priyaha, and he is cherished by me. Okay. So this Jnani or this Jnana Mishra Bhakta he's almost a pure devotee, and he is worshipping Krishna not for any liberation or anything, but still there is a small tinge of Jnana in his practice, at least in his practice, which is slightly there, because of which he does not attain prema. So he says, but he is practicing pure devotional service only. Okay. there is no, there is some tinge of jnana in his inclination, but of course his practice is pure. So he says he is practicing bhakti alone. It says eka bhaktir. He is definitely practicing jnana samadhi anavrita bhakti, that bhakti which is not mixed with jnana karma, etc. But somehow his past practice of jnana still has some influence in him. Okay. So let's see how Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains this verse. He says, among the four types who are qualified with bhakti, those with pradhani bhuta bhakti or predominant bhakti, who is the best? This among them, the jnani is the best. Of course, jnani here is the Jnana Mishra Bhakta. He is absorbed in me constantly, Nitya Yukta. This means that because his consciousness has been brought under control by practice of jnana, he has full concentration in the mind. So compared to the karma person who is distracted with some mental desires, this Jnana Mishra Bhakta, by the practice of jnana and bhakti, his mind has been brought under control. So therefore, he is able to focus on the Lord. The other three types do not have this quality. Okay. So then the question arises, but does the jnani just worship you out of fear? That is, jnana will be ineffective without bhakti. So why does this jnani worship you? Is it because without bhakti the jnana will become fruitless? Just like naishkarmyam api achyuta bhava varjitam nashobhate jnanam alam niranjanam kutap punah shashvat abhadramishware nacharpitam karme dapya karanam. Any kind of karma jnana yoga without bhakti is ineffective. So is it that the jnani is this Jnana Mishra Bhakta is afraid that if he does not practice bhakti, then the practice of jnana will be ineffective? Is it because of that fear that he practices bhakti? So he says, no. He has a predominance of bhakti. So eka bhakti here refers to predominance of bhakti and not exclusive bhakti. Because if he had exclusive bhakti, then he would be called a pure devotee. But he is addressed as a jnani because here ka bhakti refers to predominance of bhakti. Not like other jnanis who have a predominance of jnana. This is one meaning. So eka bhakti means predominance of bhakti. Or another meaning could be, or the meaning can be, he has great attachment to the process of bhakti alone. So eka bhakti here means exclusive bhakti and is a jnani in name only. Because of his past practice, probably he is called a jnani, but actually he is a pure devotee. He is attached only to the process of bhakti. This is another understanding. Okay. Yes. I, in the form of Shyam Sundar, I am exceedingly dear to such a jnani. He cannot give me up either in the stage of sadhana or perfection. I also hold him very dear. This is according to the reasoning that I respond to the devotee in proportion to his amount of surrender to me. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. So because he is very much dependent on me and he loves me a lot, so in response to his dependence and affection towards me, I also I am very affectionate towards him. Like that. I also hold him very dear. So like that he says. So this this can refer to either a person who has, so eka bhaktir vishishyate here means eka bhakti refers to predominance of bhakti and not exclusive bhakti according to one understanding. In that case, he would be pradhani bhuta bhakta. Or eka bhakti can also refer to pure bhakti. In that case, he would be a pure bhakta. Okay, like that. So there are two explanations given to this. Tesham jnani nitya yukta eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnani no atyartam aham sachamam priyah. So that here he says that of these four kinds of people who surrendered to me, I consider the Jnani to be superior. Okay, like that. Then he says, since then does it mean that the others are actually useless? Others are not at all dear to Krishna? He says, no, no. Udara sarva evaite jnani twatmaiva me matam astitas sahi yuktatma mame vanuttamam gatim. So he says, ete sarva udaraha eva. Ete sarva eva udara. All these are very exalted. Why? Because they surrendered to Krishna. Jnani to Atma eva. But the Jnani is my soul. Right? Astita sahi yuktatma. Because he is firmly convinced that mameva anuttamam gatim. He is firmly convinced that I alone am the highest goal. Me matam, this is my opinion. Of course, all the four are very, very magnanimous people because they worship me. They have magnanimous intelligence because they worship me. But of the four, Jnani is my soul. Why? Because he is firmly convinced that I alone am the highest goal. Whereas the others worship me for attaining some other goal. But this Jnani who is mentioned here, he worships me with a desire to attain me as the goal. So therefore, he is the best amongst all of them. Okay. So then the question, then that means that the other three are not dear to you. So if Jnani is the best, then the other three are not dear to you. He says, no, no, they are all dear to me. Those who worship me, accepting objects they have desired, but which I wanted to give them anyway, are certainly dear to me, who have affection for my devotees. I have affection for all my devotees. Even though they may worship me for some material benefits, still I have affection for them. This is because I give generously to them. But the Jnani is myself. Okay. He worships me and does not desire anything at all from me, neither Swarga nor Moksha. Thus, I am dependent on him and he is my soul. This is my opinion. This is because he is firmly convinced that I alone in the form of Shama Sundar and not my impersonal aspect as Brahma Nirvana am the highest goal to be attained. The Jnani who has a predominance of bhakti and no material desires is considered by the affectionate Lord as his own self. Okay. So still, if you take him as a predominant devotee, okay, who may at the most aspire for Shantarati. Okay. So Shantarati is actually a very passive relationship with Krishna. Okay. So it's a very passive relationship with Krishna. Okay. So he is a Jnana Mishra Bhakta. And this Jnana Mishra Bhakta, Krishna says, he is equal to me. Mamenuttamam gatim. Priyohi jnanino atyartam aham sacha mama priyaha. So he is equal to me, he says. But the Kevala Bhakta, the pure devotee is considered by the Lord to be dearer than himself. Na tatame priyatama atmayonir na shankaraha na cha shankarshano na shrir naivatma chayata bhavan. So Krishna talking to Uddhava in the 11th canto, he says, my dear Uddhava, neither Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord not Sankarshan, nor the goddess of fortune, nor indeed my own self are as dear to me as you are. So Krishna says that my pure devotee is dearer to me than my own self. Whereas this Jnana Mishra Bhakta, who worships Krishna with no material desires, is actually dearer to Krishna as much as his own self. But a Kevala Bhakta or a pure devotee, Krishna considers him even greater than his own self, dearer than his own self. Okay, like that. So, so therefore, Yes, as mentioned in the chat box, there is a question. Um, oh, I thought there was a question, but I think the question has been deleted. Okay. Why he gets only Shantarati? He gets only Shantarati because that's what he desires. Because of his previous practice of jnana, that influence of jnana is there, which therefore does not inspire him to aspire for a very active relationship with Krishna. So he is satisfied only with Shantarati. So therefore he gets only Shantarati. He does not have that kind of a strong influence of pure devotees. Therefore he does not have that strong Sukriti which inspires him to aspire for a more active relationship in one of the 5 rasas. So therefore he gets only Shantarati. Like that. So again further he says, Naham Atmanam Ashase Madbhaktair Sadhubirvina. In the episode of Ambarish Maharaj, Krishna tells Durvasa Muni, O best of the Brahmanas, without saintly persons for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental bliss and my supreme opulence. So he says that Krishna considers the devotees better than or dearer to him than his own self, to the extent that he does not desire to enjoy his own abode and his own opulence without the devotees. So which means he considers the devotees, pure devotees, unalloyed devotees, to be superior to his own self. And further, it is mentioned, Atma Ramopi Ariramat. Smiling upon hearing these despondent words from the gopis, Lord Krishna, the supreme master of all masters of mystic yoga, mercifully enjoyed with them, although he is self-satisfied. So he is self-satisfied, but he enjoyed with the gopis means he considered the gopis as dearer to him than his own self. Okay. But he considers these Jnana Mishra Bhaktas as equal to his self, but he considers the Kevala Bhaktas to be superior to his own self. Like that. Quick discussion points, comments, questions before we move forward. Yes, Keshav Priya Mataji.
Prabhuji, what is that Jnana Yogi without material desire and Kevala Bhakta? Like Jnana Yogi without material desire means
Not
he
Jnana
doesn't
Yogi,
have.
Jnana Mishra Bhakta.
Okay, Prabhuji, Jnana Mishra Bhakta without material desire means like he doesn't have a desire either to serve Krishna. Is that the difference between him and the Kevala Bhakta?
He does not have as much of an active desire to serve Krishna. So this is more of a very distant desire. He wants to serve, but not in a very intimate personal relationship. So he is happy with a distant relationship with Krishna, with lot of awe and reverence and a distance. That is due to this past influence of past jnana that inspires him to not go very intimate and close with Krishna, like that.
But he is happy with this position, is it, Prabhuji?
Yeah,
like he is very
perfectly happy. He is perfectly happy.
So we can see various stages, like soul is, it is a independent free will of soul that we can stop at any stage with in devotional son of Prabhuji. Like there are so many independence given by Krishna for us to choose for.
Yeah, rather than seeing it as stage, see it as flavor.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Anything else before we move forward? Okay. So Krishna says, Tesham Jnani Nityayukta Ekabhaktir Vishishyate. Priyo hi Jnanino Atyartam Aham Sachamama Priyaha. Udara Sarva Evaite Jnani tu Atmaiva me matam. Astitas Sahi Yuktatma Mameva Nuttamam Gatim. He says that, yes, I consider the Jnani to be equal to me, But that does not mean I consider the other three people who also surrendered to me. I don't consider them as absolutely non-important. They all are magnanimous souls. But the Jnani, I consider him to be equal to me. Okay. Like that he says. And then he continues. Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevas sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Jnanavan, this Jnani or Jnanamishra Bhakta, Vasudevaha sarvamiti, seeing Vasudev everywhere, mam prapadyate, he surrenders to me through devotee association. Bahunam janmanamante, after many births. Saha Mahatma Sudurlabha, he has a steady mind. Mahatma is very rare. So here Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says, you say that this Jnani is fixed in you as the supreme goal. Consequently, this Jnani Bhakta attains you. But after how long does a Jnani become qualified as a devotee? So if this Jnani has to become a devotee, pure devotee, Kevala Bhakta, how long does it take? So he says, he who possesses knowledge, seeing Vasudeva everywhere after many births surrenders to me. Such a saintly person surrenders to me through chance association with devotees. So this Bahunam Janmanam Ante, that is it that a Jnani Bhakta automatically by many lifetimes he will automatically become a Shuddha Bhakta? No. So Bahunam Janmanam Ante just refers to rarity. But the real point is here. This is what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti says. This is the real point. Such a saintly person surrenders to me through chance association with devotees. Only if he gets chance association of devotees, he will surrender. Otherwise, Bahunam Janmanamante, he may not surrender also. That Jnani Bhakta has a very steady mind and is very rare. As I have said, Manushyanam Sahasreshu, out of thousands, one person may know me in truth. What to speak of the rarity then of the Kevala or the Ekanta Bhakta? Such a person is even rarer. So it is the rarity that is mentioned. So Bahunam Janmanamante does not necessarily mean that a Jnani will automatically become a devotee after many, many lifetimes. No. It may happen in this very same lifetime also if he gets the right association of a devotee, or even after many, many lifetimes, he may not become a devotee if he does not get that association. So Bahunam Janmanamante is not exactly little in this context. Bahunam Janmanamante, after many, many lifetimes, is just a you can say a way of telling, indicating rarity rather than literally giving a philosophical explanation that these Jnanis after many, many lifetimes will automatically become devotees. This is not what is indicated here. This is not the suggestion here. Okay, like that. Any quick discussion points, comments, questions here before we move forward? Yes, Sachi Pran Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Prabhuji. The point is Vasudeva Sarvamiti is like, that is the important point, na? Because Vasudeva Sarvamiti means knowing the Krishna in association of devotee, then only he can surrender.
Yeah.
So that is where the key is, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So only such. So Vasudeva Sarvamiti means he becomes a pure devotee. So to become a pure devotee, a mixed devotee by spending many, many lifetimes will not automatically become a pure devotee. But if he gets the association of a pure devotee which he takes seriously, he does not need many lifetimes. He can perfect it in the very same lifetime also. That is the point.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, there is perfected Jnani attains his goal of liberation, then how will he meet a devotee? Before a perfected jnani, before he attains liberation, if he is fortunate enough to get in touch with a devotee, then he will so that is why sudurlabha. That is why it is very rare. That is why it is very rare. Sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. It is very rare. It's not very easy. Yeah, also provided the jnani should not offend any devotees. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Okay. Yes. Therefore, it is very rare. Okay. So now the question is, it is understood from what you have said that the Sakama Bhaktas, because they worship the Lord who responds to them, they become somewhat successful. So the Sakama Bhaktas, they get their desires fulfilled and eventually they may attain Salokya Mukti or something like that. But what happens to those who have material desires and worship the Devatas with the desire to remove their suffering or gain material pleasure? Okay. What happens to those people who have material desires? Okay, they may be artha or artharthi. They may either be suffering some material distress, or they may want some material remuneration, material things. Instead of surrendering to Krishna, if they approach the demigods, then what happens to them? So he says that कामैस्तैस्तैर् कृतज्ञानाः प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवताः तं तं नियमम् आस्ताय प्रकृत्या नियता स्वया. So he says, कृतज्ञानाः, those who have become foolish. Here foolish refers to those whose intelligence is not guided by Shastras. Okay. Taister kamaihi, those who have become foolish because of their many desires, not just because of their many desires, because of their many desires and because they don't have that sukriti by which they can be guided by the Shastras. Because of that, prapadyante anya devataha, they worship various devatas. Okay. Tam tam niyamam astaya, adopting various rules. Swaya prakritya niyataha, under the control of their natures. So their choice of worship of the demigods is not guided by the Shastras, but it is guided by their prakriti or swabhava. Swaya prakritya means swabhava. Okay. So therefore, this kind of worship in the 17th chapter, Krishna calls it Swabhavajam Shraddha. Niyataha means they are controlled. Controlled by their own Swabhava or Swaya Prakritya, which means by their own experience, not guided by scriptures. This is not a faith which is guided by scriptures. This is called as Swabhavajam Shraddha. So by this Swabhavajam Shraddha, inspired by this Swabhavajam Shraddha, they worship various devatas. So the problem is not that anyone who has so because if you literally take it as they have material desires, that's why they worship devatas, then this is contrary, because in the previous verses he did say that these people who have material desires surrender to Krishna. So therefore it is not material desires which are pushing them to surrender to the devatas. It is the lack of sukriti. Lack of sukriti and lack of a faith which is guided by faith or intelligence which is guided by Shastras. Okay. Rather, they have a faith which is under the control of their natures. Swaya prakritya niyataha. They are controlled by their natures. Their faith is controlled by their natures. So it is understood from what you have said that the Sakama Bhaktas, Because they worship you, the Lord who responds to them becomes somewhat successful. But what happens to those who have material desires and worship the Devatas with the desire to remove their suffering or gain material pleasure? What happens to them? So, 4 verses answer this question, starting with 20th verse, 20 to 23. Okay. These people have no intelligence. These people having no intelligence think that the Devatas like Surya will give immediate relief for afflictions like sickness, whereas Vishnu will not. This is their misunderstanding. Okay. So they think that if I worship the Devatas, they will quickly give the result. But if I worship Vishnu, he will not quickly give the result. See, this is one very important point, because even amongst devotees, you'll be surprised and shocked. Some of you will be surprised and shocked, whereas others, you might have heard this many times. Devotees themselves speaking this way, that if you want prema, you should approach Krishna. But if you have some other material needs, you should approach the demigods, because that is the system created by Krishna. So therefore, you should approach the demigods. How many of you have heard this kind of an argument made by devotees, not others? Devotees themselves making these arguments. How many of you have heard this argument? If you have not heard this kind of arguments, you are very fortunate. But actually, unfortunately, devotees themselves speak like this. If you want prema, go and approach Krishna. But if you have some material needs, then approach the demigods, because that is the system created by Krishna himself. Like this, they say. Is this a teaching of Bhagavad Gita? So these people having no intelligence think that the Devatas like Surya will give immediate relief from afflictions like sickness. But Krishna calls them having no intelligence. Such people have no intelligence. Right? Yeah. So someone says that devotees also say that we have to pray every day to Earth and Surya. Well, as Vaishnavas, we can express our gratitude to them, but that does not mean we think that they are controlling our lives. Therefore, they surrender to the Devatas. Who? Those having no intelligence. They are under the control of their natures, Prakritya Niyata Swaya, which are corrupted and ours to surrender to me. So, Swaya Prakritya Niyataha. So, Niyataha means control. Okay. So, those who are controlled by Shastras, they surrender to Krishna. But Niyataha, those who are controlled by their Swaya Prakritya, just by their nature and not by Shastras, they surrender to demigods. Okay. Like that. Okay. So someone else says, do you suggest that praying to different forms of Lord like Vamanadev for fearlessness, etc., is that recommended? No, that is also a kind of Sakama worship only. Like this. We have this Narshinga Kavach or Narayana Kavach prayers. Vamana, protect my legs. Oh, Rishikesha, protect my hands. Oh, Govinda, protect my eyes. Oh, Narasimha, protect my head. What is this? Is the Lord our bodyguard? Has already promised protection for devotees. So we don't have to say that we don't have to have every form of the Lord to protect one part of our body. We understand that the body is anyway going to get destroyed. So while it is there, we wish to utilize it in the service of Krishna. So anyways, we will continue this discussion. We are already over time. Okay, but one quick question I will answer, which is, what is the connection of the shloka with the previous one? In the previous series of verses, Krishna spoke about who surrenders to Krishna. If you see 7.14, he says, only one who surrenders to me can overcome Maya. So then he says, then does everyone surrender? He says, no, not everyone surrenders. Those who do not have intelligence, which is guided by Shastras, they don't surrender. But those who have intelligence guided by Shastras, they surrender. There are 4 types. Artho Jigyasu Arthati Jnani. Of them, Jnani is the best, he says. Okay. So these 4 kinds of people surrender to you. But what about those people who surrender to the demigods? So he says, oh, such people, their intelligence is, or their faith is controlled by their own prakriti or nature. It is not guided by Shastras. So such people are, they are foolish, he says, Krishna says. Anyways, we will continue this discussion further next Friday. But thank you all very much for your patient listening and your enthusiastic participation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.